everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast here on the channel. I am Jeffrey Kirby. Holy hell, we have ourselves a big show for us. Not pun intended in terms of, the big show from WWE, but we do have an actual big show here. The Backyard Brawl is back. Officially 1 hour from now, we will be watching one of the biggest rivalries in all of college football. A rivalry that should not have gone away for the last decade. If I'm not mistaken, the last time that I believe it was 2011 was the last time we saw this game. So, regardless of that fact, we have it here. It's about to be a banger of a game coming up tonight. The first, honestly, probably real big game starting off of the college football season. I know last week you had the game between Nebraska and Northwestern and Ireland. That doesn't really, the only thing that does for us is the fact that we know that college football is back. But this is the first big game for college football. You have Pitt, who just came off an ACC championship game, or ACC championship season last year. That was arguably the best season that you've had in the program's history from the last 40 years. Pat Narduzzi, what he did last year was incredible with Kenny Pickett. You had Jordan Addison, who's now gone to USC. But then you bring in a guy named Keaton Slovis. He came in from USC. He's going to be a guy that's going to be fun to watch. And I'm going to be very interested to see how he's going to look tonight against West Virginia. West Virginia has another their quarterback's also it's apparently a trend to go with USC. So then you have JT Daniels, who came in. He was original, he had USC ties, also was at Georgia, got benched, got for Stetson Bennett. Then we all know the rest is history. Now he's at West Virginia. So it's kind of weird how that all works out. However, this is just going to be an overall great game to watch. Pitt is a 7.5 point favorite, so they're favored by over a touchdown here. And with all due respect to West Virginia, this game, honestly, I think the biggest key for this game, I think a lot of it's going to have to do with keeping your emotions in check. Because of the fact that when you get into these rivalry games, your emotions go that much higher. Trust me, I'm an Ohio State fan. We're in what probably the best rivalry in all of college football when it comes to Ohio State and Michigan. Those emotions, you get up there. And this is what it's like for Pitt and West Virginia in this game. This is like the Daytona 500. This is like NASCAR starting off with the Super Bowl. This would be like... this would be like Ohio State and Michigan starting off week 1. This is like Alabama and Auburn starting off week 1. This is like in college football, Duke and North Carolina starting off week 1 or their first game of the year. That's what this is like. And looking at this game is just going to be huge. Not only just overall for the bragging rights of the fan bases, but on top of that, it's going to really this could really mess with you throughout the season. Because if you go and you lose to your arch rival week 1, that could mess with you a little bit, in terms of your mental and keeping on track and all that. So I think that's what's going to be very interesting with this as well. And like I said, Pat Narduzzi, what he did last year, had the best season that the program's had over the last 40 years. You win the ACC championship game. That was absolutely incredible. Kenny Pickett, he's gone now. We obviously know he's with the Steelers now. You had Jordan Addison. He was the Fred Blitnikoff Award winner. He's gone. He's at USC. But what's nice about this team is the fact that you have a veteran offensive line. You have a couple stud defensive linemen that are coming back. So you have some experience in there as well. And like I said, Keaton Slovis, he's a guy that's been with this team now. Because remember, if I'm not mistaken, JT Daniels was not with West Virginia during the spring. So now you have the chemistry advantage with Keaton Slovis with his wide receivers. So I think that's what's going to be very interesting as well. And on top of that, yes, it's that first game. You're going to see some things not go out well. You're going to see some rust. But the emotions are high. It's your first game back of the year. And on top of that, it's against your arch rival in West Virginia. This is about to be a banger. And from what we have been hearing, this is going to break probably the attendance record for Acrisure Stadium / Heinz Field. Because I know there could be some people say they'll make jokes about Acrisure. Ugh. This could very well break the record for attendance at that stadium. That is huge. Because, and what's nice with this is the fact that you get to actually see the Pitt get some more publicity, good publicity. Because remember last year, you had it with the ACC Championship game. You were able to get some nice publicity from that. Now you're going into this year, starting off hot with that, with this game. This is just going to be an incredible game. Now, obviously, for me personally, I have adopted to being a Pitt Panthers fan. But for those that have been a Pitt Panthers fan for years and years and years, and you guys bleed those colors, this game is... You have been waiting for this game for so long. And right now, the hair on the back of your neck is standing up strong. And this is what it's all about. And this is what you absolutely love as a college football fan. Stuff like this, rivalries like this, is what makes college football so special. I cannot freaking wait for this game. And I'm not, like I said, and I'm being honest, I'm not fully as invested in this rivalry, because I'll be completely honest, this is the first time I'll be watching this rivalry. So, and I'm excited for that. I know that Pittsburgh right now is absolutely rocking. Now, the one thing that I am very curious about is, apparently, from what we saw, there was a graphic that put on ESPN from Vivid Seats that 75% of the tickets were bought by West Virginia? Let's put that in perspective. Donovan Mitchell, baby. Yes, sir. Shout out to Justin. He was the one that gave me the news on that. And wow. Just wow. But 75... Put this in perspective. 75%? Three-quarters of Acrisure Stadium being filled with West Virginia fans? That doesn't sound right. Does not sound right to me at all. And I highly doubt that's what it's going to be. Now, if you told me 60-40, I very 50-50, maybe 60-40, okay, I can get that. But 75%? Not a chance in hell. Yeah, Bronco. Oh, man. What a news dump that we've had today. Donovan Mitchell going to Cleveland. And then you also had, Russell Wilson, 5 years, $245? Oh, my God. That was a lot of freaking money. And and I wasn't going to bring this up, but while you brought it up, so I might as well bring it up here for a minute. Because this affects not only you, Justin, as a Browns fan, especially because you guys get brought up with this all the time. And obviously it's going to affect the Steelers because it involves Baltimore. Because we've been hearing a lot of rumors going on about Lamar Jackson and what are they going to do with their contract or with his contract situation. Their owner has been very well documented in saying, listen, they were not happy with the Browns giving Deshaun Watson $230 million fully guaranteed. That was the issue that he had. I don't think it was the fact that they traded for him or anything like that. It was the fact that they simply gave him $230 million guaranteed, which I will say this. While the stuff that he is being accused of is sick, from a business perspective, I can't blame the Browns whatsoever for that. I simply can't. They have been in quarterback purgatory since Bernie Kosar in the 80s. You got to do something. I don't blame him for that particular reason. And you got to do what you got to do if you're in that situation. But now you have Biscotti, who has just been going nuts about that, and that's affecting Lamar Jackson. And over the course of time, it's going to affect the Bengals with Joe Burrow. If Kenny Pickett comes out to being what we expect him to be, that could affect us with the Steelers in Kenny Pickett. So over the course of time, that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And in that's $49 million a year. He's getting up there in age. Now, obviously, we can say Tom Brady, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I'm going to be very interested to see what he looks like this year. Last year, he had the down year with the hand injury, but I'm obviously with a new team. I'm obviously going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be willing to see, and I can't get mad at him. He got the bag. Can't get mad at him for that. LOL, they are mad because we paid our guy. That makes no sense. They were going to have to pay Lamar regardless of Watson. Well, yeah, I think it was the fact that of the fully guaranteed. That was the part, because, again, that was going to affect them. That was the part that he was mad at. It was because simply, if this was let's just throw this out there. If Lamar was only a rookie or second year, it wouldn't have mattered as much to him, or he wouldn't have made those comments, because of the fact that obviously, yes, over the course of time it would have mattered. But I don't think of the fact that it would have mattered as much, because eventually it was going to happen. Whether it was going to be Joe Burrow, whether it was going to be maybe a Justin Herbert, one of those quarterbacks were going to get a very close, fully guaranteed contract. I think it was just the situation of it being Deshaun Watson, the timing of it, and just the overall situation of that. I think that was the biggest issue that Steve Piscotty, or whatever the hell their name is, that's the issue that they had. That's that. I do want to get into, because I'm going to try to make this before 7. I want to make sure that everyone that is watching can get to the Backyard Brawl. I'm making sure of that. So I do want to get through things here. I do want to talk about the 53-man roster for the Steelers here. And we're going to get into the rant of Mike Tomlin and playing his guys. We're going to get into the rant of the offensive line. We're going to get to that. I do want to start off, though, with the quarterbacks, because I made a tweet earlier I made a tweet, and it got a lot of people riled up. And let me re-pull it up here on my thing, and I want to read this out to you guys, and I want to explain things a little bit more. I should have had this more prepared, but I got really busy with stuff. Oh, where the hell is it at? Okay, here we go. And I said this. I said, an unpopular opinion for Steeler fans. I don't think I want Mason Rudolph traded and still want him on this team unless you get an offer that you can't refuse. I would feel more comfortable going into this with 3 quarterbacks and Mason has the most experience in this offense. I'm going to explain myself here again, because I think a lot of times it's harder to do it with Twitter and you don't get the context involved with it. The reason why I would feel more comfortable with Mason Rudolph going into this, because we're already expecting the fact of at least 2 quarterbacks playing for the most part, unless Mitch Trubisky just comes out looks like the second coming of God. We're going to see Kenny Pickett at some point of time this year. This offensive line is absolutely atrocious. And we're going to save that part specifically later on. But that involves this case, because of the fact that I have an issue with the fact that you're going to start off with Mitch Trubisky. If something were to happen to him, okay, now you have you're starting Kenny Pickett, whatever. I would feel much better going into this knowing that at least our rookie quarterback would have a backup in case, because you always hear the saying, you would rather have them and not need it rather than need it and not have it. That is what I'm thinking. That one spot that you have, who in reality did that truly affect on this roster that you would have kept that would have made an absolute game changing? Riddle me that. That's my thing. He brings the experience, and he's just another guy that you would rather have and not need, rather than need him and not have him. And I know I had a little comment from Kevin Adams. Shout out to him from from the terrible tailgate, he made a comment, asking, saying, can you win a Super Bowl with him, blah, 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 and I understood that. And the comment that I made, that I had involved with that, let me blah, 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 let me re-find it. It's apparently my first comment. And here's the thing, too. Remember back in 2000, I want to say it was 2010, the year that Ben Roethlisberger got suspended. So you go into that with Byron Leftwich, Charlie Batch, and Dennis, what the hell was his name? I forget. So you have a situation like that, where Ben was out, Byron Leftwich gets hurt, and then I'm forgetting his last name, Dennis something, he got hurt. So they're right there, when you had a quote-unquote, now this is similar to like an example like with the Browns, because Deshaun Watson's suspended here, and I know, Justin, you're watching this at least, so, here's the example that can fit your guys' situation right now. You go into that, and you would just rather have them and not need them. I think that was just my overall thought process on this. And again, with this offensive line being as bad as it is, yeah. And, I mean, like I said, now if you got an offer that you couldn't refuse, of course. But if you were just going to trade him for a fifth or a sixth or a seventh, no. I'd much rather keep him and just simply go as that. Going with running backs here, obviously the one thing, so you keep Najee Harris, Benny Snell, Jaylen Warren, which was a good sighting, and then you have Derek Watt. Obviously, so that means you did originally cut Anthony McFarland. You did put him on the practice squad. He was a guy that was impressing some people, but just simply, it just felt like over the course of time, they just went another way. And then on top of that, you had Jaylen Warren, who, if I'm not mistaken, he was either a 7th-round pick or an undrafted free agent. He comes in, he has a very impressive camp, and when he had the reps, he looked very well, so you were able to make him on the roster here. And then you had people bitching and complaining about Benny Snell. Benny Snell makes a huge impact on special teams, so that's why you keep him. Najee is Najee, and Derek Watt is Derek Watt. He's a fullback kind of deal, so there's that. And then going into wide receiver here, so you keep 7 wide receivers from the jump. So you keep your big 3. You obviously, you have Pickens, you have Chase Claypool, you have Deontay Johnson. That's fine, well, and dandy. And then you go into this, Miles Boykin was a guy that was impressing some people. You had Calvin Austin, he just got put on IR, so he will at some point in time be able to return this year. Gunnar Olszewski, obviously the return game, he was going to be a lock because of that. And then Steven Sims was a guy, I mean, they gave him, you knew that there was something up with that when you saw Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada give him a hard look in that first half of that Detroit game. He went in there in that 2-minute drill, caught that touchdown pass, and you felt good about that. So there was that. Going into tight ends, nothing really surprised me there. I mean, Pat Gentry and Connor Hayward, nothing really surprised me there at all. Not much to talk about. The defensive line, you had Montravius Adams, Tyson Alualu, Cam Hayward, DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Loudermilk, Larry Ogunjobi, and Chris Wormley. I mean, not really much to talk about there, honestly. I mean, there were some people that might have been mad about Henry Mondu. That was gone. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, did they bring him back on the practice squad? I'm not sure. But other than that, there was not much there that I was personally surprised at. So there's that. Linebackers, here's the part that could get interesting now when it talks about the linebackers, the defensive backs. Now there are some things to talk about when it comes to those. Obviously, in terms of linebackers, Devin Bush, Alex Highsmith, Miles Jack, Mark Robinson, he was a running back convert into a linebacker, and he came out and just balled out over the course of camp in those preseason games. So it was nice to see him make that the 53-man roster. So, and then you get Robert Spillane. You originally had Derek Tuska, who just got cut, and then obviously T.J. Watt. So you have that, and then you also traded for Malik Reed from Denver, which is a guy that a lot of people are very excited about because he was the sack leader, if I'm not mistaken, for the Broncos And he's a guy that I'm very excited about because we finally, I think, have a good third outside linebacker. And you had that last year at the beginning part of the year with Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram became a disgruntled veteran. He asked out. He got out, went to the Chiefs. We all know that. But what we know for a fact that Alex Highsmith, he might be dealing in and out with injuries. TJ Watt had lingering injuries last year. And on top of that, those guys need breathers. So you would like a guy that could come in and rotate and still know that he can make plays. Malik Reed would probably be on that Denver Broncos team. He just got caught up in a very stacked linebacker room in Denver. So you get lucky. You trade, if I'm not mistaken, a 5th-round pick, which is what you traded last year for Ahkello Witherspoon, who ended up being a very good piece for you last year on the defense. One of the only bright spots on the defense down the stretch. So at the end of the day, Malik Reed is going to be, that was a great pickup in my opinion. We all love it, and it's going to be very nice to finally, again, have that third outside linebacker who could go rush the passer, and you just like that kind of experience, and that kind of flexibility with your defense. Oh yeah. And then we get to the defensive backs. Because I'm going to go into my little rant in terms of the linebackers that involves with the defensive backs. So you keep 10 DBs. Terrell Edmonds, Minka Fitzpatrick, DeMonte KZ, which he got put on IR. That was a nasty injury that he had, but it looks like he will be able to come back. Miles Killebrew, Arthur Millette, Trey Norwood, James Pierre, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, and Ahkello Witherspoon. Here's the reason why I personally believe that the DeMonte KZ injury was going to be a low-key big hurt for this defense this year. It would have been, because especially if you don't like the production that you're getting out of your linebackers, Miles Jack, we believe, is going to be fine. You have issues with Devin Bush. You have issues with Robert Spillane. Okay. Having DeMonte KZ gives you the flexibility of saying, okay, you don't like the production that you're getting out of those guys. You could bring him in. You could play that 3 safety look. You could bring Terrell Edmonds in the box where he feels comfortable at. And that really helps open things up because now you still have speed on the field. You have good coverage on the field. And then you have the flexibility that Terrell Edmonds could go and play in the box as well. So I think that kind of flexibility was there. But with DeMonte KZ out, as of now, you kind of have to throw that out of the window unless your linebacking play is just that atrocious. If it's just that atrocious, then you might have to try something out with that. I mean, you do have some flexibility. Trey Norwood, has played safety. If I'm also not mistaken, Cam Sutton he has some experience at safety. So there's that. You have that kind of flexibility in there. So that's going to be something to watch out for. I'm also going to be interested to see more of how they handle with the corners with Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, Ahkello Witherspoon. Obviously, Ahkello right now is your cornerback one. Cam Sutton, he's been on the outside for last year. Levi Wallace, he's a guy that he could play outside and maybe bump Cam Sutton into the inside and slot. So you have some flexibility when it comes to that. And that's what's going to be very interesting with that. And obviously with Devin Bush. We all know that Devin Bush, he made that very nice play on the 4th down. But, and then you still have the basic of not getting off blocks on tight ends. Those are big issues that simply just need to be fixed. Devin Bush, come on. You don't have your 5th-year option picked up, so you're on a contract year. If you want to get any type of bag, you need to go and ball the fuck out. You need to get your fucking head right. You need to get in the playbook and play your fucking ass off. Simple as that. You need to play better. If you want to get any type of money, you need to be better. Simple as that. And then obviously when it comes to the specialists, Chris Boswell, Presley Harvin, Christian Kuntz, whatever. That's simple as that, whatever. Now on to a little rant that I need to get on. Because I actually have 2 rants. Mike Tomlin. We're going to start off with this one. We're going to start off with Mike Tomlin. I understand who you are. I understand the kind of style of coach you are. You're very old school. I understand it. Why in the hell was TJ Watt in the game on Sunday? Why was Cam Hayward in that game on Sunday? Yo, what's up? How you doing today? Obviously, I see you're a Michigan fan. I don't know if you know I'm an Ohio State fan, but obviously, I do want to say I do give you guys props last year for you guys' win. Haven't been in your stream for a while. Hey, I appreciate you coming on back. Obviously, I do appreciate that. I forget, are you a Steeler fan or are you a Lions fan? Or let me know, what fan of NFL team are you? Dude, I'm so hyped for football. Listen, this year is going to be exciting. Me and my man Justin earlier, he was in the comments earlier. He might still be watching. We're supposed to be going to the Ohio State-Michigan game this year. That was wow. That's going to be a game and a half. Let's just say that. But here, let me finish up my rant real quick, and then we can talk about that for a minute. So here's my issue. Why in the hell was TJ Watt in that game? First and foremost, did you not see what happened with Kayvon Thibodeau? Now, hear me out on this, because I saw a lot of people bitching about the cut block. And TJ Watt said it himself, and I couldn't agree more. Well, yes, we're all mad because it happened to our player. Yes, we're all mad because TJ Watt was in a preseason game that probably he shouldn't have been in. In fact, no, not probably. He shouldn't have been in. TJ Watt did not play a single second of the preseason last year. Do you think that affected him? 22.5 sacks says otherwise. So why in the hell was he in this game? I simply just do not know. You saw what happened with Kayvon Thibodeau, which again, that was a legal play. That's what you were taught to do in those situations. I'm not mad at TJ Hawkinson for it. You can't be mad at him because it was a legal play. But it was the fact that, let's look at the positive. You got lucky that he didn't blow his knee out, and then now your season is really messed up. Let's be honest here. If TJ Watt was out for the year, your season is done. Mike Tomlin, that 15-year streak of not having a losing season, yeah, that's gone. That's tossed. Cam Hayward, I understand you wanted to play. No. You are very important to this team. Minka Fitzpatrick, same damn thing. Not a chance in hell. Offensively is a little bit of a different story. Now, we all saw that Deontay Johnson got hurt, whatever. I wasn't as mad with him playing. I wasn't mad about that because I still want to see him gain more chemistry with Mitch Trubisky. In that situation, I'm like, okay, I get that. I'm not as mad. Yes, it sucks that he got hurt. Sounds like he would have been fine to come back in that game so that you dodged a bullet there. But the one that I'm pissed off about was Najee Harris. Like I said, with Deontay Johnson, you want to gain chemistry with your quarterback. I understand playing him. But what I don't understand is Najee Harris, because he came out and said that he had a Liz Frank sprain. Liz Franks can be a bitch. So my question is, and again, I understand that Mike Tomlin is very old school. He's going to play his guys, but you gotta be smart about it. That wasn't a smart move. And on top of that, he had quite a bit of carries in that game as well. Najee Harris said he wasn't fully 100%. So what about this? You have 2 full weeks until your next game. Let him rest up. Let him get ready. And then you'll be a whole lot better going into week 1. Because you're going to need him a lot when you play Cincinnati week 1. You're going to need him. So I just simply don't get it. Box scores here. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, you ran... Okay, Najee Harris, 4 carries, 10 yards, 2.5 a carry. You have Najee Harris, and then on top of that, 3 receptions for 11 yards. So you got 7 touches there. You have him hurdling people and all that. I just simply don't think it was worth... Because he's going to be a very, very important part of your offense. So I just simply didn't understand that. The wide receivers, I get it. The tight ends, I get it. You want to gain chemistry with your guys. Najee Harris, not so much. We know what he can do. There's not much. I mean, you're not worried about trying to gain as much chemistry with your quarterback when it comes to running backs like you are wide receivers. So simply, you just got to be better than that, Mike. Got to be better than that, Mike team. I got one more rant that I want to get into before we get on out of here. The offensive line. The offensive line, I did not think it could get worse than last year. But it's looking like it might be. Dan Moore. We're just going to start off with Dan Moore. Dan Moore right now looks unplayable. He looks terrible. He has regressed badly from last year. Last year as a rookie, he looked fairly good. He looked pretty good for a 4th-round pick. This year is just not... He's looking terrible. Just god-freaking awful. Kendrick Green. Kendrick Green, I'm sorry to say, but if I'm not mistaken, you were a 3rd-round pick last year, I'm sorry. If that wasn't the case, your ass would have been gone. You have been nothing short of terrible either. We have given you multiple chances at multiple positions. We put you back at your natural position at guard. You look absolutely terrible. I just simply... And here's the thing that's it. Kevin Dotson, who was hurt for a decent amount of camp, is going to win the competition simply because Kendrick Green played that bad. That bad. That is not good. Mason Cole, I mean, he's a journeyman center. He hasn't looked terrible. James Daniels, he looked better in that Lions game, but he hasn't been so far what we thought he was going to be. And Chuks Okorafor probably has turned into our best offensive lineman, not because he's gotten better, but because he stayed here and he originally went from here to down here. I just simply don't... I mean, obviously you had Mike Munchak, and then that's when you had one of the better offensive lines in football. And then you let him go, and now it has just been nothing but hell with this offensive line. You go and get a guy in Jesse Davis, who apparently, from what we've been hearing, looks like he has 1 foot into retirement. He looks like he's running on fumes, apparently. So simply, that's not great at all either. So simply, it's going to have to be, you're either just simply going to have to play better, or we are doomed. Now, what we can say, if you want to be one of these people that finds any way to be some sort of positive, remember the 2018 that you won the Super Bowl with. That offensive line was atrocious, and they were able to make it work. And here's the other issue that I have. And Justin, I hope you're in here because what I'm about to say you're going to like. The offensive line simply looks like they don't care. They aren't hesitant to simply look and try to figure out how to get better. They're not hesitant on the sidelines to say, looking at figuring out how to get better, what did I do wrong, and just trying to learn from their mistakes. They're not hesitant with it. Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller and all that. Joel Bitonio, Tyrex, I just met him a couple weeks ago. Those guys are always raving and talking to Joe Thomas, one of the greatest left tackles of all time. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer next year. They're always trying to pick his brain to figure out how to get better. And that's one of the best offensive lines in football. And you have their offensive line coach, if I'm not, Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive lineman coaches in the NFL. They've done a phenomenal job with what they've done, and they're always continuously trying to pick their brain, figuring out how to get better. And that's a veteran group as well. That's a veteran group outside of their center, because their center situation has just been all messed up because they've been getting decimated. You have a first-round pick in Jedrick Wills. You have Joel Patonia, who's a borderline Hall of Famer. You have Wyatt Teller, one of the best guards in football. Then you have Jack Conklin, an all-pro right tackle. And they're trying to always learn. They're always trying to pick brains and trying to figure out how to get better. It simply does not look like this group for the Steelers care. Why not try and go and call Marquise Pouncey? Why not try to call Ramon Foster? Why not try to call these guys and say, listen, give me some tips. How, especially Kendrick Green. First off, you were gifted the number 53 from Marquise Pouncey, a borderline Hall of Fame center right there. So you take his number and you just play that bad. I would be trying to call him up. Listen, man, how do I get better? Give me some tips. Help me out. Help me improve my game. It simply does not look like they are doing that. That is an issue. Because you're not showing initiative to want to get better. It's not showing leadership skills. There's nothing of that. I just simply do not get it, and it's pissing all of us off beyond belief. And if you guys don't figure it out, shit is going to hit the fan. Because, again, now, while, yes, you finally have a quarterback that's not 95 years old and looks like he should be in a retirement home at Ben Roethlisberger, you actually have some guys that can move around. You need to simply find a way to keep them upright. Look at what Cincinnati... Here's the thing that irritates me that much more. Look at what Cincinnati has done. They saw Joe Burrow on the ground an absolute shit ton last year after his rookie year, getting his knee completely blown out. Then they said, no, we're not having this year. We're not doing that again. And Joe Burrow's in his rookie contract, so they went out. What did they do? They went and invested hard in their offensive line. They invested hard to make sure that their quarterback stays upright. They upgraded a lot of their offensive line. The Steelers, while yes, you did go and get Mason Cole, did go and get James Daniels. While yes, those are upgrades, they're not big upgrades at all. The only reason why Mason Cole is an upgrade from Kendrick Green is because you couldn't get worse than Kendrick Green. You simply could not get worse. That's the issue. What happened to the history of centers in Pittsburgh football being phenomenal? Look at the laundry list of Steelers centers that have been phenomenal. What happened to the importance of that? Why is it that it's been a decade since you have invested a first-round pick in an offensive line? Why is that? The last two offensive linemen that you've drafted in the first round were David DeCastro in 2012. That turned out pretty well. In 2010 with Marquise Pouncey. That turned out well. Why not? And this is another thing that goes back to what I thought last year. Last year, I was raving. Now, last year during the draft, the Renegade Roundtable podcast was non-existent. But for those that have known me beforehand, for those that have followed me on social media beforehand, there was a reason why I believed the Steelers should have went with offensive line over Najee Harris. Yes, Najee Harris, what he did was phenomenal last year. We all love it and it's great. But at the end of the day, I've always been one of those people that believe you really want to build the run game, you build up your offensive line. I feel like you need to reinvest in your offensive line. Look at what Dallas had done with their offensive line. They invested first-round picks in their offensive line, and that turned out pretty damn well. So, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for, and there is that. So those are my little rants about the Steelers that I needed to get off my chest. And oh boy, I've been waiting for a couple of days to get those off of my chest. But other than that, I think we are going to get on out of here unless anyone else has something you want to mention. JB's, I know if you got something you want to mention, go right on ahead. Now we could do it. I just needed to get that off my chest. Justin, if you're still in here, if you got a comment you want to make, or anyone else who's watching, if you want to make a comment, go right on ahead. But other than that, in the meantime, I will say thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys did enjoy. We do have some we have the Backyard Brawl reaction. That'll be coming out tonight. That's going to be a hell of a game. Other than that, you guys have been killing it on the reactions that I was doing. I do want to say appreciate y'all for that. And it's going to be a blast this season. We're going to have a whole lot of NFL reactions coming. Now, am I going to be able to hit all 200-something games? I don't know about all that, but I'm definitely going to try to hit a couple of the best games of the year. Passing on Linderbaum. There you go. Now, that was the other thing. Now, this one is a little bit different because you got your quarterback of the future. But that was another situation of going in and passing on an offensive lineman. I mean, last year, look at some of the guys that you could have gotten. Creed Humphrey. He was a guy that went, second or third round? And he's been phenomenal. There was a couple different guys that you could have went out last year. And here's one thing, too, while we're out of here, I do want to mention. Because I saw a couple of clowns talking about why not, put in a claim for Alex Leatherwood. Alex Leatherwood was so bad. So bad. And this is not one of those teams that I think you could revitalize his career. He was not going to be a guy that I felt comfortable bringing in. And as an Ohio State fan, I feel so bad for Justin Fields because, oh my God, I'm praying to the Lord above he does not get absolutely killed again this year. He did look good in that final preseason game. That I did like for the Chicago Bears. But other than that, I just simply did not like that at all. Let me see. I want to hop on Twitter real quick. I want to see if there's any interesting things that are going on the Twitter.com. See if there's any interesting news that is going on before we get on out of here. Obviously, we're going to see a whole lot of Cavs and Donovan Mitchell talk. I've been seeing a lot of that, and then a lot of Leatherwood. Stick a fork in him. He's done. Thank you. He was bad. He has been nothing short of bad, and a lot of. Now, what's crazy is 2 years ago he was maybe the best offensive lineman in football. He's very smart. It's just on the field he was just god awful. God awful. Can we just, if we want to talk about awful, can we talk about how awful the Raiders drafts have been the last few years? I mean, look at it. The 2021, you drafted Alex Leatherwood, gone. 2020, Henry Ruggs, jail. 2020, Damon Arnett, jail. 2019, Cleveland Farrell, fifth-year option declined. They were talking about cutting him. Josh Jacobs, fifth-year declined. He hasn't been bad. But Jonathan Abram, he had his fifth-year option declined. Their drafting has been so bad. Their drafting has been so bad. It is insane. But other than that, I think I am going to get on out of here. If you guys want to follow me, go ahead. My Twitter thing that's right here, I got to update it. It's actually Jeff_Kirby412. If you want to go ahead and give me a follow, go ahead. And obviously, go and follow us on Twitter at Renegade_table. That's going to be, that is our show Twitter. And until then, I do want to say thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys did enjoy. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Last weekend without NFL football. We cannot freaking wait. We have a big episode coming next week. Our first Steeler preview week. Get our show of the year. I'm losing my mind. That's how excited I am. But until then, have a great Labor Day weekend. Stay safe. Peace out.